Hello, this is a program about the dangers of distracted driving. I'm sure that most people probably have a pretty good idea what the term distracted driving means. You might hear someone describe distracted driving as texting and driving, reading while driving, eating, painting your nails, or taking a selfie while driving. All of these actions and more can contribute to a crash caused by having your mind, eyes, or hands off driving. Driving safely requires a good deal of attention and focus on the road, scanning and evaluating changing road conditions, and taking actions when necessary to avoid a crash. However, understanding how distractions impact our attention and our focus may help us to be more diligent in taking some simple steps to avoid a potentially crippling and life-altering crash. Distracted driving is really a result of two types of mental blindness called change blindness and inattention blindness. This program looks at change blindness and how our mind is limited in its capacity to notice subtle changes in our driving environment that, unless acted on, can result in devastating consequences. In a moment, you will see a dramatization of a distracted driving crash, which demonstrates change blindness.
How many letters?
5 letters.
Just think about, what am I doing right now?
Smile. Smile?
Uh-huh.
This is so easy.
As you watch this video clip, did you notice how the driver shifts her glance between looking at her phone and looking ahead? The driver's inability to see important changes in her driving environment led to a crash. The driver assumes that by looking up every few seconds, she is doing an adequate job of driving safely, but is in effect driving blind before she enters the intersection. Many drivers are great at believing that they are immune to such effects as change blindness. We will now put that belief to the test. You will be a driver in some driving situation. You will see the driving scene, but will be momentarily distracted for about 1 second from that scene. When your glance is back to the driving scene, see if you can identify what's changed. You will have a sheet of each driving scene for you to record what's changed. Beware, not all scenes have changes, so you have to be extra diligent in your observational powers. Let's do an example scene before we begin. See if you can notice the change. Okay, now let's begin.
For 200 meters, turn right.
Say cheese!
We are going to view these scenes once more. This time there will be no distraction and no change blindness. Let's see if you can identify the changes when you are completely attentive to the driving scenes. You will be able to view each scene for 4 seconds. Write down any change you can identify. Let's begin. How did you do this time? Attentive driving allows your mind to be more ready to recognize scene changes. Change blindness limits the mind's ability to see changes that could result in a driving crash. Your mind might not remember the whole scene. Your mind might not have time to recognize an important scene change until it's too late. What kinds of driving distractions could turn off your driving attention for a moment? What can you do to minimize your risk of change blindness while driving? Whenever we drive, reducing our risk of serious injury or death to ourselves and others requires diligent effort and focus. An important strategy that we can use to maintain our diligent effort and focus on the road is SEE, which stands for Search, Evaluate, and Execute. By using C, we can reduce our susceptibility to change blindness and reduce our risk for a distracted driving crash. Search is the process of scanning continuously for potential hazards. Searching provides you with the necessary information to anticipate potential hazards and time to take proper or evasive action if necessary. By searching, you are making yourself aware of the traffic environment around you, including traffic signs and signals, road conditions, and other roadway users behind you, to the left and to the right of you, and oncoming. Evaluate is being able to quickly process the information from your search to determine if potential hazards exist and steps you might take to avoid them. When you evaluate the traffic scene, you anticipate potential problems and strategize how you might deal with those problems should they actually happen. Execute is the action you've decided to take after you've evaluated your driving situation. When you execute your driving decision, you must do so quickly and appropriately. This may include adjusting your speed to make that action, as well as your position of your vehicle. Your response time is critical to keep as big a safety cushion as possible between you and any potential hazard. Let's do one example where we explain this driving strategy in a driving scene. In this scene, what should you search for? Crosswalk, pedestrians, brake lights and turn signals, cars in the left lane, upcoming traffic signals, railroad crossing signals, bicyclists, blind spots? All of these can affect our driving actions. As you evaluate the unfolding situation of what possibly could happen, notice that the car in front makes a choice to turn, and some pedestrians come closer to the curb in front of your vehicle, and they don't appear to see you. What should you do? You do not want to rear-end the car in front of you or hit the pedestrians. As you recognize the car in front of you is turning, you immediately execute the action of braking to a stop. And since pedestrians have the right of way in the crosswalk, you allow them to cross safely in front of you first after the car in front has passed and made their turn. By following the search, evaluate, execute strategy, we can minimize our susceptibility to change blindness and the potential for serious consequences that can result. Let's practice our C skills with our previous driving scenes. First, search the driving scene for changes in the driving environment. Next, evaluate changes to determine if and what actions you need to take to avoid crashing. You can use your worksheet to identify possible actions to take for each scene based on the changes you see. Finally, make a decision to execute the course of action. Practice these C skills with all 5 driving scenes and discuss your observations and decisions with others. Let's begin. Search. Evaluate and execute. Search. Evaluate and execute. Search. Evaluate and execute. Search. Evaluate and execute. What driving decisions should this driver make? Search. Evaluate and execute. In this program, you experience the effects of change blindness and learn how it can lead to distracted driving crashes. You also practiced a strategy for attentive driving using C, search, evaluate, and execute. Thank you for being a part of reducing injuries and fatalities caused by driving distracted by keeping your mind, eyes, and 2 hands on driving.